Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Bree. If you are new here, my cat is in a mood today, so sorry for the squeaks throughout the video. But in today's video, I am going to be decluttering my powder cheek products. So my bronzers, my blushes, my blush toppers, and my highlights. This fucking cat. So, if you guys want to hang out and watch me declutter my cheek products and also listen to my cat scream, then just keep on watching. Ma'am? Hi. What's your deal? Okay, so the way that I'm going to do this is broken down into sections. I'm going to start out with bronzers. I'm going to do blushes and I'm going to split them cool versus warm, and then I'll do the same with blush toppers, and then I'll do my highlights. I just feel like it'll be easier to kind of compare and contrast, especially amongst the blushes, kind of what I have and, you know, all of that good stuff. Couple things. Throughout this video, I will have all of my past powder cheek declutters linked up in the eye, as well as my declutter playlist if you want to see some more. Throughout the year of 2023, I was on a no buy. I did do a very small haul in the summer, and I also did a holiday haul at the end of the year. So while I maybe brought in 4 to 6 powder cheek products total, I didn't bring in like really any new makeup. And then this year I am on a very strict low buy. So my collection is the smallest that it has ever been. It's still way too much, don't get me wrong, it's still way too much, but my collection is the smallest that it's ever been. With that being said, while I do intend to be very cutthroat about this, I don't have so much that I'm going to be like getting rid of half of my collection or anything like that. Like I'm still going to do my very best to get rid of as much as I can, but I'm not going to be getting rid of like 50, 100 products or anything like that. So let's just jump in. I have a little basket next to me that I can put everything that I'm not keeping into. I think it is officially time to take off the flannel. Get a little warm in here. This is the first time this year that I have worn a short sleeve on camera. Yay, it's officially time. So, let's jump into it, shall we? Starting out with bronzers. Lola, dude, ma'am. Oh, and also since this is video 2 of my 2024 monthly declutter series, where every single month I'm gonna go through a portion of my makeup and show you guys my collection and declutter it, I will also have linked up and above and down below my lip declutter from last month in case you are curious about my lip declutter. But bronzers, I have 8, which isn't crazy to be honest with you. I know there is a face palette over there that does have a bronzer in it, but I'm gonna do face palettes separately now that I'm saying that out loud. Maybe. I don't know. Well, I don't know what I'm doing with my life when it comes to the face palettes. Because it's confusing, because some of them are just dedicated like highlight palettes or blush palettes, and then a couple of them are like mixed and matched. So, I don't know. Maybe I will just do them separately at the very end once I kind of have an idea of everything else. We'll get there when we get there, shall we? Okay, bronzers. Bronzers. So, very first one that I have in my collection is the Juvia's Place Bronze Duo. This is in the shade Light. Can you guess which shade I use more often? I actually already have a backup of this because it went on sale at one point like a month or so ago, and I was like, damn, I'm running out of this one. And this is hands down my absolute favorite bronzer, so I need a backup. So I'm definitely keeping this one. This is kind of like, to put it into perspective, this is what I compare everything else to. Like, I love this bronzer that much that this is what I'm comparing all of the other ones to. Another for sure keep is my NYX Sweet Cheeks matte blush in So Taupe. This is my contour. I have since come to learn that they apparently have discontinued this shade, tragically. So when I do finish this, I'm gonna have to find a different powder contour, but definitely keeping this for now. All right, this is the e.l.f. Primer Infused Bronzer in Forever Sunkissed. This is another really, really nice bronzer. Just very nice neutral tone, super light, not crazy pigmented, just like very easy to apply. Keeping that one. Okay, this is the Lorac Tantalizer Buildable Bronzing Powder in Pool Party. This is discontinued. I don't really know that I care that much about it, to be honest with you. I think I am gonna get rid of it. It's just like, it's getting a little like built up. It's still just like, it's very mid. I get rid of that one. I don't need it in my collection. The Physicians Formula Butter Puff Bronzer. As you can see, I've used up quite a bit of this. This lived in my project pan for the longest time. It is just like very, very, very warm and like kind of thick. I don't love it. It's so hard for me to get rid of because of the packaging, but I don't know. I think it's time. I think it's time for it to go. I was for the longest time like holding on to bronzers like those too, because I was like, well, I've already hit pan, so like I could finish it up, but like why do I need to take up space in my vanity and force myself to use up products that I'm not like 100% in love with, you know? If I want a slightly deeper, slightly warmer bronzer, I have the one in here that I can use. This is the Milani Baked Bronzer in the shade Dolce. I absolutely adore this bronzer so much. It's very light, very just like easy to apply. It's definitely one of my warmer ones, but it's very light and very like almost sheer, you could say. And it has just like the prettiest, like very light glow to it as well. This one is the newest one in my collection. This came to me during my holiday haul. I absolutely adore this bronzer so much. It is the Colourpop Pressed Powder Bronzer in Avila Beach. Just super affordable, super easy to apply, really good like sheer thin pigment, not too overpowering. Just a really, really good overall bronzer. Last but not least is actually the bronzer that I'm wearing on my face today. I intentionally, when picking the makeup to film the video that I filmed before this one, chose a couple powder cheek products that I was like slightly on the fence about, and just like I hadn't used them in a while and I needed to revisit them to really get, you know, an idea. And so that's the bronzer that I'm wearing on my forehead today. I actually am not wearing any cream cheek products on my face today. Jesus, Lola. I'm not wearing any cream cheek products on my face today, specifically so that I could see the true payoff of the products and everything like that. Lola, dude. Dude, you are wild. Anyways, the L'Oreal Infallible Fresh Wear Bronzer. I don't know, I've just never really been in love with this bronzer. It's very thick, very warm, very pigmented, very just like a lot. Like I have to be so careful with how I apply that because it is just so insanely pigmented. For that reason, I have officially decided it is time for it to go. Got rid of 3, kept 5. I would say that's good. I would say that's good. Because I feel like in the past, sorry, I'm writing down like how many I'm keeping so I can keep my inventories and stuff. Anyways, I feel like in the past I would have been like, oh, I only have 8. That's not very many, so I have to keep them all. Whereas, like, I'm really starting to come to terms with like, I don't need to force myself to use products. So I would say that that is good progress. This is the first year that I decided to split my warm tone and cool tone blushes so that I could like compare and contrast. And because of that, it's throwing me. I'm feeling like I'm forgetting. Okay, warm toned matte bronzers. We're not into blush toppers yet, just warm toned blushes. Sorry, warm toned matte blushes. I have 5, which genuinely feels like it's incorrect, but I also know I have a couple, like I said, face palettes over there that have warm toned blushes in it that we'll get there. So I guess I'll always start each one with like my baseline, like this is what I compare everything to. And for blushes, it is the LA Girl Just Blushing Blush in the shade Just Playful. This is like the most beautiful, perfect amount of pigment, perfect amount of color, just vaguely, almost a little bit blurring, just the perfect blush to me in texture and formula. So definitely a keep, and like I said, that's what I compare everything else to. I have here the Flower Beauty Flower Pots blush in the shade Spiced Petal. It is broken. It is also a little funky. There's some hard pan on there. Okay, so this one is definitely, let me actually really build up these swatches so that I can also compare colors as I'm doing this. Okay, so top is LA Girl, bottom is Spiced Petal. Definitely a completely different tone. I do really enjoy this formula. It does get hard panned very easily. All of my cats are just in a fucking mood right now. Every one of these types of blushes that I've had have always broken on me, which is just very annoying, but I do really like the formula. Okay, okay, now they're fighting. The e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush. This is in the shade Always Cheeky. This is another really good, very similar to the LA Girl, just kind of not crazy pigmented, not, you know, almost a little bit blurring. It's definitely a little peachier and a little bit lighter than the other ones. I do love this one a lot. I'm not even gonna swatch it. I can tell by the smell that it's starting to go bad, because Physicians Formula has their very specific smells, and this one smells off. So, not even gonna worry about it. And then last but not least, I have this like little deluxe sample of the Tarte Amazonian Clay Blush in Party. I'm gonna be honest with you, that looks almost identical to what it would be if I blended those two blushes together, so I actually don't see any reason to keep this. I'm not really a big fan of that brand anyway, so. Two. Oh, excuse me, I got rid of 2, I'm keeping 3. Maybe this is a little bit more cutthroat than I was expecting it to be. Okay, so this is rather shocking. A rather shocking discovery for me, to be honest with you, because I am through and through a warm toned blush girly. I have more cool toned blushes than warm tones, which is insane to me. And maybe that's why all of my warm tone blushes I've hit pan on, whereas I haven't hit pan on any of my cool tone blushes. So I'm definitely feeling like I can narrow this down quite a bit. So let me show you my baseline. My baseline is the Colourpop Heart Blush in the shade Flirt Alert. Oh, I did hit pan in this one. Okay. Yes, it has hard pan, but that's fine. I can always fix that. But again, same qualities as what I've previously spoken about. Not crazy pigmented. I'll do like a nice easy swatch first. Not crazy pigmented, not like a little bit blurring, just like really easy to work with, right? Let me build this up so I can really compare colors here. That is Flirt Alert right there. Definitely keeping Flirt Alert. This is another one that I know that I'm keeping. I am curious to know how close it is to Flirt Alert. This is just the Colourpop Pressed Powder Blush in To the 10. I got this during my holiday haul specifically because I wanted to know if the formula was the same as the Heart blushes, and surprise, surprise, it is. So they are very similar, which is fine. That's totally fine. I think this one's just like a little bit pinker. They're very similar. It's not that big of a deal. And then another one that I'm almost positive that I'm keeping, I don't see why I wouldn't, is another shade of the LA Girl Just Blushing Blush in Just Playful. Yeah, so this one is actually more of like a true neutral. This one could probably actually pull a little bit warmer compared to, with, you know, in compared, like with combination, not comparison, in combination with whatever I use with it. This one could definitely pull a little bit warmer. Love this one as well. Now we start to get into the weeds a little bit. You know what? I bought this right around the same time as the other one. Let me smell it. See, now this one smells fine. It could be because I use this one a lot less. Let me get an even swatch of the whole thing. I just don't know that I'm gonna keep this, to be honest with you. It's crazy pigmented. Like, that's not built up. That's the same amount that I'm picking up as the other ones. The other ones, I'm actually building them up. That's just one finger swatch. The other ones I was doing one and then I was going back over it for a better color comparison. That's just so fucking pigmented. It's just too much. It's time for it to go. Okay, the e.l.f. Primer Infused Blush in Always Rosy. I know I love the formula of this one. So again, this one kind of falls a little bit more in like a warmer rose. It's not quite as warm as this one, but like it's a good tone. It's definitely different than the other ones. It's sometimes the cool tone blushes can look a little bit muddy on my skin, so I like them to have like a vaguely warm base to them. She was like laying here chilling and then she just bolted out of the room and started screaming in the other room. All right, the Flower Beauty Flower Pots blush in the shade Sweet Pea. This is actually currently in my monthly makeup basket, but I'm still going to evaluate and compare. It's definitely the lightest and the coolest out of all of them. I don't know. I don't know. I feel like I've noticed over the past, like, it's the 15th or 16th for me. It's the 16th, so I've had it in my monthly makeup basket for about 2 weeks now, so I've been using it more regularly. It has a tendency to pull a little ashy on me, so I don't know. I'm gonna think about that one. I'm gonna think about it. And then the last two are ones that I'm definitely not sure about. First things first is the one that I'm actually wearing on my cheeks today. This one could probably have been in like the warm section, but it's also like a very baby doll pink, so I put it in with cools. It is just so insanely fucking pigmented. Yeah, no, that's gonna go. It doesn't, no. I'm good. And then last but not least, this is from Believe Beauty. I picked this up when I was in New York because I don't have Dollar Generals out here and I kept hearing everything amazing about Believe Beauty. It's a little blush and then blush topper highlight-ish, okay, monochrome matte and shimmer blush duo. So I'm really just focusing on the matte blush here. I just feel like I remember this being like rather heavy on the skin, and also like it's kind of tedious to get just the matte without accidentally getting into the shimmer. The shimmer is also thick, like real thick. I'm gonna get rid of it. I do really like the brand and like what it has to offer, and especially the pricing for it, but I don't know. I don't really, I'm not like dying over it. Okay, with that being said, I am gonna keep this one for now. Am I gonna keep this one for now? No. You know what? No. If I'm second guessing it, I'm not gonna keep it. I have other cool tone blushes. I have plenty of cool tone blushes. Okay. We're good. I started out with 8. I ended with 4. I am being so much more cutthroat than I was being with my lips. All right, so warm. I please request that you not bonk on the tripod, thank you. Warm toned blush toppers. I have 6. I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't have a like standard for this because they're all completely different and I love all of them. Are you gonna finally come over here and just like chill? There's squeaks for you. Okay, so I'm just gonna dive in. The Essence Pure Nude Baked Blush in the shade Pretty Peach. Stunning, 10 out of 10, divine, like not crazy pigmented. You can barely even see it, it's right here. Not crazy pigmented, just like pretty glowy, pretty color, pretty vibes, you know? My other absolute favorite. Milani Baked Blush in Luminoso, which is similar, just a little deeper in pigment. Actually not as shiny, but still pretty glowy, very nice, 10 out of 10. They're different, keeping both of them. Okay, the Be Perfect Polar Vortex. I think this was technically supposed to be a highlight. I don't fucking know. Okay, well, listen, they confuse me with their packaging. It's either the Polar Vortex highlight blush, whatever it is, in Atmosphere or the Atmosphere blush highlight blush topper, whatever it is, in Polar Vortex. I don't know. I don't know. The packaging confuses the hell out of me. That's what it looks like. It's very bulky packaging. Just throwing that out there. But it's so different than all of my other ones because it's orange with like a pink reflect to it. It's so fucking pretty. I love it so much. And it's just like I said, it's so different than everything else that I have that I'm definitely keeping that one. I have another Milani Baked Blush. This is in Bellissimo Bronze, which is also going to, again, be very different from everything else that I have because it's much more orangey bronze. A lot more pigmented than all of the other ones, but love a bronze in the summer. Apparently blush toppers is where I start to struggle. I have 2 more. I'm gonna get rid of this. It's broken. Like, it's just, I'm gonna get rid of it. It also doesn't exist anymore. Not that that matters, and I don't consider that to be, what is this very long chunk of hair? Whatever. Not that that matters, and not that I consider that to be like a deciding factor when I'm decluttering, but I don't know. It just doesn't do it for me. And then last but not least, this is the Nabla Skin Glazing Highlight. Well, I guess technically it's Glass Skin Finish Glow Powder, but it's a fucking highlight. This is in the shade Truth. Definitely too deep for me to use as a highlight, so I use it as a blush topper, but goddamn, if it is not the most pretty pinky peach blush topper I've ever seen. Look, none of those are the same. They're all different. They're all worth keeping. Okay, started out with 6, ended with 5. I would still say that that is a success. Lola, Lily, whoever you are. Okay, I have 5 cool toned blush toppers and a rumbly tummy. First things first, I also have a Essence Pure Nude blush in Shimmery Rose, which is almost doesn't have color to it. It's more glow than anything else. I'm gonna start going on my forearm. As you can see, it's more, it has barely any pigment to it, but it's very, very, very pretty as a blush topper. Very similarly, and I would like to compare these two, is the Milani Baked Blush in Petal Primavera. This one's actually almost even more sheer. But it's also just like tonally different. It's just tonally different. It's almost got a little bit more of a warm base to it. Not quite as glowy though. This one, I use it as a blush topper. Technically I could use it anyway. This is the just straight up NARS Orgasm Blush. Just good old fashioned NARS Orgasm Blush. Just, it's NARS Orgasm. I don't know what to tell you. I got it for free for something and I would never pay full price for it. This is like its crazy baby sister. This is Milani Baked Blush in Bella Bellini, which is also the blush topper that I'm wearing on my cheeks today. So as you can see, tonally very similar. Both have that same kind of cool toned pink with the gold reflect to it. I'm gonna get rid of NARS. I'm gonna get rid of NARS because if I'm gonna reach for one, I'm gonna reach for the more impactful of the two. By the way, just so you guys know, this blush is also the blush like that I'm wearing on my cheeks today, and I knew when I was applying it that I wasn't gonna keep it. And then last but not least, I have one more Milani Baked Blush in Sunset Passion. This is another, kind of almost similar to Bellissimo Bronze. It's deeper, got a little bit more pigment to it. This one definitely is actually a lot more warmer than I assumed that it was. I always thought this was cool toned. Look at me. Interesting. I always paired it with cool toned blushes for some strange reason. So, whatever. I like it though. Okay, started out with 5, ending with 4. All right, I have 7 highlights to chat about, to show off, to declutter. First up is the actual highlight of the Nabla Skin Glazing Highlight. This is in the shade Privilege. This is seriously one of the prettiest highlights It doesn't like accentuate texture. It's just got a beautiful glow to it. I love the like warm undertone to it. It is the closest thing that I have found to the ABH Nicole Daydream shade, which has always been like one of my absolute favorite ride or die highlights. Next up, I have the Maybelline Master Chrome highlight in the shade Molten Rose Gold. I actually used to own this, and then I either finished it or I decluttered it, I can't remember, but it was the highlight that, not this exact one, but it was the highlight that I wore on my wedding day, and I remember it being more color than this, less icy, more like kind of peachy. You can see it's definitely like just icier. I'm gonna ponder that one in comparison to some other things because I will admit that that highlight is very thick. Like it's very thick. Next up, I have the Revlon Skin Lights highlight in Daybreak Glimmer. This is another like staple one for me. I compare a lot of other highlights to this one in formula. It's thin, it's very glowy, but it's not like overpowering and it doesn't accentuate anything on the skin. Keeping that one. Okay, this is the Milani Baked Highlight in the shade Dolce. This is like my go-to kind of like lighter, icier, cooler highlight, I guess you could say. But again, it's not like crazy overpowering. It's glowy without being too much. It's very thin. It doesn't accentuate anything. It's really, really pretty. I have here the Wet n Wild Mega Glow highlight in Bloom Time, which is very pretty. You know, I am actually going to keep this one and I'm going to get rid of Molten Rose Gold. They're very, very similar, but this one just has just a better vibe to it. I don't know how to explain it. I like the gold undertone to it while still having that kind of like pinkiness to it, but it also is just not quite as thick. Okay, this is the LA Girl Beauphoria Iridescent highlight in Dazzle in a Daze. I get that it's iridescent in the pan. It does not translate that way on the skin. I picked this up during my holiday haul, and even then I was like, I don't know how long this is gonna last in my collection. It is very thin, but it borders on being more just glitter than actual highlight. Like, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. It's the bottom one. It's like very, just more glittery than anything else. But it's also like really pretty and it's very different from what else I have. I'm gonna keep it for now. It is so different from what else I have that I could potentially see use in it. And then last but not least, for singles, I have the About Face Light Lock Powder. This is in the shade This Bliss, which is like a white with the gold flip to it. You can see it right at the bottom. I want to compare this one to a different highlight that I have because I want to be honest with you. You know what? No. I actually don't know that. Do I need to... Is the white too thick in it? I don't know. I need to compare. So I'm going to keep these on my arm for just 1 minute. I'm going to set this one off to the side. No, I'm not going to keep these on my arm. You know what? I am going to go ahead and just get rid of it. It is also broken. And I don't think that she makes these anymore, and it's also kind of breaking from the back as well now that I go to like kind of pinch it together. It's fine. It's just not like a revolutionary highlight formula, and it is just a little bit too white. It's got a little bit too much white in it, too much white base. All right, started out with 7, down to 5. So I am down to just face palettes. And I even, honestly, even the ones that are like just 3 of a highlight, I'm counting those to be face palettes. There's more than one shade in the thing, it's a face palette. I know that I brought over a duo earlier, but whatever. I guess if it's more than 3, it's a face palette in my mind. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9. Damn. Okay, this is just where it's gonna get a little bit difficult almost because of the fact that some are blush palettes, some are highlight palettes, some are mixed, some are, you know, so it's, I don't know that I'm necessarily going to be able to compare and contrast. It's gonna, I guess, just go on like just vibes. Definitely keeping the Disney Ulta Beauty blush and highlight palette. This is where I guess I got thrown off about not having all of my warm toned powder blushes or warm toned like matte blushes because I have 2 in here and I adore these as well. The highlights are really nice. I am gonna be so honest with you, I definitely keep this more for the blushes than for the highlights. I typically, like, okay, how do I best explain this? I will grab this palette specifically for one of these blushes. I have never grabbed this palette specifically for one of these highlights. I will only ever use these highlights if I already have it out and I just don't feel like grabbing something else. The highlights are just like a little bit lackluster, a little bit thick, a little bit meh, but like I definitely love those blushes so much. So I'm keeping this for sure. I'm still mad at myself about this, but the Hourglass Butterfly palette. So this was the 2022 holiday launch. It has 2 of the finishing powders, a regular kind of, let me just look at the back. It's got 2 finishing powders, a strobe powder, a metallic strobe powder, and then 2 blushes. I'm keeping it. I do really like it, and I kind of hate myself for it, but I do really like it. On the same vein, the 2023 holiday launch, which is the Hourglass Ambient Editing Unlocked Jellyfish palette. I will say right here and right now though, I now have all of my bases covered when it comes to Hourglass powders. I don't need any more of these, and I will not be buying any more of these, but this one has 2 of the finishing powders, 2 blushes, a bronzer, and then a metallic strobe powder, which the metallic strobe powder is really cool. It's like very different. It's very icy, but it's very different than like what else I have. It's very just like sheer, just glow. Very nice. This bronzer surprised the hell out of me. It's so much more pigmented than I ever fucking thought it would be. And the blushes also threw me because they're tonally very different than I thought that they would be in the pan. But I do enjoy them, so keeping it. Let me get one more out of the way that I know is a keep. That I know for a fact is a keep. The Anastasia Beverly Hills Nicole Glow Kit. I still have a backup of this because when they brought it back in 2020, I bought a couple because this is my, as you can see, absolute favorite highlight. These are definitely very like old school highlight formula. I actually currently have this in my project pan for this month. Definitely like very old school, very glowy, very like almost borderline a little bit too thick, has a little bit of like a glitter vibe to it, but just like, I don't know, I just really love this palette, so I'm definitely keeping it. I don't know why I'm smelling it. Powders like almost always smell fine. Okay, this is the Too Faced Natural Face Palette. I'm gonna be honest, 99.9% of the time that I'm grabbing for this, I am grabbing it for satin sheets. If satin sheets was just, I could buy it by itself, I would have done that. I love satin sheets so much. It also is kind of that white with a gold flip, but it has kind of almost a, well, just more straight gold to it with a very light base that's not super prominent like the other one, like the About Face one. Starlight is pretty. I just don't reach for it a ton. These blushes kind of scare the shit out of me. Like, that's pigmented. That's also very pigmented. The bronzers too are very a lot. Yeah, I'm gonna keep it just for satin sheets. More than likely, whenever satin sheets is gone, I will likely get rid of it because, I don't know, there's the bronzers. There's just, I don't know. I think I need to put it into a monthly makeup basket for sure and kind of like actually really force myself to use some of what else is in here. Maybe I'll put that in my next monthly makeup basket, but I'm gonna keep it for now. Apparently I'm having a really hard time with face palettes. I think it's because there's always one thing in a face palette that I'm like, I fucking love that, and once I use that, I'll get rid of everything else. The Pixie Rach Loves Layers palette, I think I'm finally done. I think I'm finally just over it. I have bronzers, or I have highlights just like all of these except for these two, but like I don't ever really reach for those two. This lived in my project pan the entire time I did project pan for over a year, and yeah, I mean, it was fine. It was fine. Okay, the BH Bellini blush palette. I don't reach for most of these shades, especially now that I do my makeup a lot differently than I used to when I originally picked this up. When I originally picked this up, I would use most of these shades. Now I really stick to like this top layer. Bottom layer kind of scares the living shit out of me. I could still see myself using these as like eyeshadows and stuff like that when I have the palette out. But yeah, especially because I'm getting rid of that one really, really light toned peach shade. I'm definitely keeping this because Georgia Peach is very similar. As you can see, it almost looks like white and ashy, but it looks great on my skin, especially over top of a like cream blush. Okay, last but not least, I have two. I have the Flower Beauty Shimmer and Strobe palette, which is the highlight that I'm wearing on my face today, and I also have this Believe Beauty little trio. And they are very, very, very similar, so I definitely want to compare them. I already know that the Flower Beauty one is like very glowy, but with that being said, like very, very, very glowy. Don't get me wrong, like look at my cheeks, very glowy, but also very thin. It's not like accentuating anything on my face, which is nice. Okay, so the bottom three are the Flower Beauty, top three are Believe Beauty. Yeah, I'm gonna get rid of Believe, I'm gonna keep Flower. Just formula wise, the Flower one is better. Okay, started with 9, ending with 7. I would say that is a great success. Okay, so on the chance that you're really into numbers and you were curious about the totals, I started out with 48 bronzers, blushes, and highlights and face palettes. So powder cheek products, I started out with 48, and I am ending today with 33. So not quite half, even though definitely some of those sections I did cut in half or right around half. But I mean, I got rid of 15 items, so I would say that that's quite successful. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 14, 15. Yeah, 15. Look at me, I know how to do math. So proud of myself. I would say that that's quite successful. I did a good job. I think the only one I really didn't do a good job on was face palettes, but each one kind of brought their own spice to the table. So, you know, okay. I'm proud of myself. I'm gonna go put all this away, put away everything else that I've filmed with over the last week. And yeah, I go clean my house. So, comment down below and let me know a product that you decluttered recently. I would love to hear all about it. Please subscribe if you have not already. It would mean the world to me. Like this video, ring the bell, do all the things. I hope that you guys have an awesome, awesome day. I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!